All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. The very first thing I have up, I just was kind of a little random piece, but I don't know if you've seen this. It's called the digitalworkplace.com/check-in, and it just has the great little check-in questions that you can shuffle through. And I thought that was kind of an interesting or an easy way to have some check-in questions. Great for working with adults in the building. Some of them are a little more like businessy, virtual meeting type planning, but or type questions, but a lot of them are very generic. That would be great to start, a staff meeting or something like that. So just a fun little side note here. But today's session is all about security, cybersecurity, and protecting student data. And it's really geared towards the teachers and educators in our buildings. We know that our IT people and our technology people typically have a decent handle on what this looks like, but we also need to make sure our teachers are aware of their role in keeping our student data safe. And so we're going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity for teachers and some tools and resources that they can use, what it looks like for students and what it looks like for families as well. But first, I want to kind of start off, and I'm just here on our little hub, our little dashboard, or whatever you want to call it. I'll drop it in the chat if you need it. The QR code will also take you to it. But this is where all the resources and links will live so that if anybody needs it or you want to share this with your staff, you're more than welcome to do that. But the real reason is, why are we even doing this? Why do teachers need to be aware of this? And so I've got some resources here that are really helpful. This is a map of recent K-12 cybersecurity attack map. And I want you to see that it's like, it doesn't matter where you are. In fact, it's not going to let me. Well, anyway, um, it will tell you about each of these. And the crazy part is it's hitting closer and closer to home. And even in here in Region 9, we've seen some situations where schools have been targeted, whether it's the school itself or teachers and staff within a school being targeted. The thing is, we have, all these students data in one central location, and that is an easy target for hackers and for bad actors. Those social security numbers, those date of birth, all those ID numbers really are valuable to somebody else. And so, and the hard part about that is the students may not realize that their data has been compromised until they're 18 years old and trying to do something. And then that's when a lot of times they find out that their data has been compromised somewhere. You can actually pull up a K-12, it's from k12six.org. They actually have a map of schools that have been hit. And of course, it's not going to load right this second, but you know how this goes. That you can actually pull up and see where schools and the incidents have really been targeted. I'll see if it'll load in a second. But here's what is kind of like the scary part of it is it's that data is worth something on the dark web. And so that's why schools are being targeted. A social security number is essentially worth $1. I mean, but a school that has 100 students, that's an easy target. And I hate that's the hard, like that's the awful part about it is we are in charge of all this data here. The schoolsafety.gov document here, the piece that I thought was really kind of interesting is according to a 2020 U.S. Government Accountability Office report, the loss of learning following a cyber attack ranged from 3 to 5 days. So yeah, we think about cybersecurity and protecting student data in terms of social security numbers and birth dates and things like that. But when a school is attacked and their cybersecurity or through a cyber attack, your systems are down. You lose learning time in that. And that's a whole other kind of way of thinking about cybersecurity. The recovery time for that can be anywhere from 2 to 9 months if a system is taken down. And that's huge. Now, of course, we think that also the monetary loss that means following a cyber incident for a school district could be anywhere from $50,000 to $1 million. And so you're talking about student data, you're talking about the cost of that, you're talking about loss of learning, and you're talking about loss of money for a school district. That's a lot to be in charge of, and it's a little panic-inducing for some of us. I think that's just one of those things that we know it's important, but I don't know, it's not that we stick our heads in the sand, but maybe we do just a little bit, right? That we think we're safe. Anybody watch not Brilliant Minds, The Irrational? It's a show
Yeah.
that we watch a lot. Anybody like that one? Um, it's one that we watch at home. And last night's episode that we were kind of watching, I don't know if we were caught up or if we're behind or not, but it actually talked about the when things don't happen to us, we assume that we're safe. And so, we go about our business and we think that we're safe from these attacks because they haven't had it happen to us yet, but they are happening to our schools and they are happening to our staff. Um, we've got staff members in the districts who have fallen to phishing scams, and things like that. So it is happening and it is targeting us specifically. I think my K-12 page finally loaded, but here's the number of incidents between 2016 and 22. There were 1,619 in K-12. And like I said, we think that we're not immune, but if you zoom in here, you can see that Frederick, Monday, Slidell. None all these aren't all in Region 9, of course, but boy, these are schools that we know and we are around. And so to think about that, and that is just through 22. And I know we've had at least two in our region that have been hit since then. So just something to kind of think about. All right, so let's talk about what we can do about it then. For teachers, this is the Common Sense Privacy Program site. And I've got it pulled up over here. And this will show you just about any kind of application or site that you might use that you can check. And it will tell you whether or not it's under any kind of warning or if there's anything to be concerned about. Um, there's a ton listed here. So it's definitely not something you would sit here and want to read a ton of, but might want to kind of dig into some of the apps and tools that your teachers are using to see what the rating is given and why it's given that rating. It does tell you. So let me see if I can find a couple. Or if you have one that you want me to kind of dig into, I'm happy to do that. If you want to either shout it out or throw it in the chat, I can look up one because it is searchable. I was trying to find something for example, let's do Tinkercad. So Tinkercad is a 3D printing engineering type software. And you'll notice it gets a 78%, which is considered passing. When you click on it, it should tell me why. Oh, it does. Oh, there it goes. Okay. It gives you an overview, and it tells you what policies they use to give it the rating they did. Um, it tells you if they received a passing because their personal information is not sold, it's not shared. It is there's personal advertising is not displayed, data is not collected by third parties. So it tells you why. It tells you what collection data it does collect. This one it does collect PII. So it scores it a little bit lower because of that, but it doesn't share it, so it helps score it higher. So it's all an averaging system here. But you can go through and see exactly why it's rated the way it is. How safe is it? Is the data sold? What kind of consent is required? And I will say some pages have a lot more information than others. So some of them don't have quite as much detailed information, but it does give it a rating there. So did anybody have one that they want me to see if it's on here? I'd be happy to look for you real quick just to show you how this works. Anything that your teachers are using? Let's see if Frog Street's on here. It's not. No. Even, you got Elmo here. I found lots of other things. I think ABC was the one that was on here. Yeah, so like ABCO, which is one that a lot of parents used. I'm pretty sure I was guilty of using it with my kiddos, but check this out. It's a 56%, so it comes with a warning. And it will tell you why. It tells you their terms, their security, but you can't tell whether their data is being sold and whether there's any third-party advertising taking place. It does collect PII, and it does share some of it. So that's why it kind of scores it lower and lower. It's unclear how secure it is. Is it sold? It's unclear. So they score it like a 15%. How safe is it? Again, it's unclear. So they score it low. So this is a great place for teachers to look and see if the things that they're using with their students, how safe are they? Really, there should be a list within each district of what is safe and what is considered appropriate and acceptable to use. Um, But this is just adds another layer of like looking at the programs that they're using. And so this is that common sense one. There's a couple other things that teachers can use as well, just for some general basic information. This site here, now it's migrating to CISA, which is really an interesting concept and process because that's a government run page. And I attempted this morning to switch over to this new learning page, and it is a process and a half to get logged in because it is a government site. And so you actually have to go in through login.gov. You have to actually provide your ID, like your a physical picture of your or a picture of your physical ID. You have to do a whole lot of things to get like approved. So I did not make it all the way through that process, but there's still some great resources on this link though that they can look at. Schoolsafety.gov has lots of reports and webinars and things like that. There's some things for CTE teachers. So there's a lot of other helpful things that can be used here, including a section for cybersecurity for students, which we'll talk about the students part in just a second. But this is a great resource just to provide knowledge and understanding to teachers about why and how to keep their student information safe. And then I've just got a few other resources here, ways to secure student privacy from common sense, things like just making sure you know what data is being shared, what happens to it, and what settings can make it safer. And then if you really want some lessons for privacy protection then to use with your students, they actually have some linked as well. And I thought that was really great because they're by grade band. So this would be something that you could share with your teachers, share with your colleagues, that would give them some lessons to use with their students about that privacy protection as well. There's some videos and things like that involved as well. You can also go to this teacher's guide, again, common sense about cybersecurity for just a big overview of what cybersecurity means for teachers in the classroom, whether they really have to know how they can protect their classroom data. And how to teach it, to different grade bands, because it is something our kids are going to grow up in a cyber world. Like they're used to it, but we as teachers kind of need to catch up sometimes to what they're using and how to keep them safe using those things. And then TCEA had a nice blog post that back in September about cybersecurity for educators. They actually offer an online self-paced course if that's something that your teachers are interested in doing. But just knowing what the common threats are, we all go through that yearly training about cybersecurity. So I don't feel like that's necessarily something we need to repeat, but there are like some quick definitions of those things. And how to build that cybersecurity into the classroom. And again, it's broken down by elementary, middle school, and high school. So there's some separate things that you can use. We've talked a little bit about this when we talk about digital citizenship, because cyber.org is a great resource for that, which if you were part of our webinar last month about the new TEKs for tech apps, that cyber.org helps cover several different ones of those strands about digital citizenship and the different things within that. So that's a great one as well. And so that's all there. Now, for students, when you're actually talking to students about how to be more, safe with their information online, there's a couple of different things. Common Sense does offer some things for students, like a little lessons. You can even get the little slideshow here. You can read the objectives. It will tell you how long these different things. It will even give you some extensions. So there's some actual lesson plans that you can find that are online for that. They actually have these cute little videos. These are put out by CISA as well. And it's this little animated series that you can get a hold of. And it has multiple ones. So like this cute little animated how to update your software, how to make strong passwords, how to use two-factor authentication, avoid phishing. There's just kind of like a little promo and stuff. But these are little videos that you could actually use with your students to kind of just stress the importance of being safe online and what that means. And then I went ahead and included some resources for families as well. CISA does offer some parent and educator resources, just some links and resources for protecting our kids' data and keeping them safe online. And so got some resources here. You also have this new one, or this was one I hadn't seen. It's called Take 9 Seconds for a Safer World. And it's got just, it talks about the power of positive pause. In other words, take a few seconds to see if what you're using or what you're seeing is safe. Um, I liked it says science says marketing says 9 seconds sounds more doable than 10 seconds because science says in stressful situations, wait 10 seconds. We've all heard that whole, count to 10 when you're angry. Well, the same kind of applies in the cyber world. Take 10 seconds to think about whether you should click the link, submit the information, open the page, go to a website, use a resource, things like that. And so they just use this idea of 9 seconds. And so they've got lots of tips and resources as well. Nice visuals that are done, but they also have a lot of kind of partners that they partner with that have lots of other resources as well. So that one is Take 9. That's an awesome one as well. And then I just wanted to include several different resources here that just in different ones. And the first one, these first two are from schoolsafety.gov, which is a great resource about just the best things to do to keep your information safe and the background behind it, the why. And then I found just again a few more about ransomware. And like I said, we do have a couple of districts that have been hit with ransomware. And that is just, it's a mess for that to happen. And so there's that piece as well. We the CISA K-12 cybersecurity is a great resource. The K-12-6 is a great resource. This is a really interesting report. It was from 22, so it's a couple years old, but it has a ton of really great information just about how many schools have been hit, what what it looks like, the growth in ransomware and data breaches and attacks. So if you're needing you have some reluctant people in the building that maybe don't understand why it's so important, this is a great report for that. And then, of course, that schoolsafety.gov, where several of these reports have come from, give you some resources as well. A lot of it's reports, but they actually do also have programs, videos, and I believe a few lesson plans on here as well. And so those are all available for anybody to use. This would be a great link to share with your teachers as you're talking about cybersecurity and things like that. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up and see if anybody has anything else they would like to add to this, because I'm happy to add links and things, but this one's not as much of practical like fun tools. This is more about warnings and prevention. So, but if anybody has any other resources that they want to add to it, I'm happy to add those to the site. But that is our really short lunch and learn today. So, but I will open it up to y'all.
Well, I can say on Thursday, I was invited to the TEACS guide evaluation for tech apps.
Yes.
So it's a nice, long, full day Zoom with TEA. So if I get anything good from that, I'll share.
Absolutely, because I mean that's one of the strands is digital citizenship. Boy, that's hard to say,
Mhm.
which includes the cybersecurity piece. So it will be interested to see what they kind of say about that part of it. So yeah, please
Yeah.
share. But ooh, a full day Zoom. I don't envy you. Was that a voluntold situation?
Well, I was invited. Yeah.
Invited is a
So
good way to
yeah.
look at it. Yes.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was invited. Yes.
Okay. That's awesome.
Voluntold.
Yep. I love it though. That's awesome.
Yes.
So like I said, I kind of mentioned at the beginning, districts really should have an approved list of what they, have vetted. Technically, they're supposed to have DPAs signed, data privacy agreements
Mm-hmm.
signed with each of those. Um, that really should be in place now. It's a daunting process. So, and I know we've talked about that. Those of you who have attended techie meetings and what we, used to have as our DLIN, we've talked about that a lot. And so it really should be in place at this point. It's 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 here whether we like it or not. So these are just some tools and resources to remind your teachers why and how. So okay, well, if nobody else has anything, we're going to end a few minutes early. Super short, so this would be an easy one to pass along to your friends. and definitely pass along the link to the site because it does have all those resources linked for you and your teachers, families, things like that. Feel free to share those as well.